There we go. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat number 76. Oh boy, we're inching on that century mark. That's really, really cool. And we've got all of our regulars here. We have Petrucci, Alan, Don, Kelly, Martin, Big Den, John McKenzie, Leo, Henri, Neil, Garth, Charles, Dewan, Jeremy, Courtney, Anthony, Jim, Chris. Wow, what a great turnout. This is awesome. So I thought maybe perhaps we should, oh, by the way, I'm kind of substituting for Greg. He's unable to, oh, here comes Dennis. He's not able to make it, at least make the live chat this week, but I'm sure he'll watch it and critique it online. So anyone have any thing that they want to show and tell to start off with? Petrucci, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, I've done a bit of 3D printing.
You did? Oh, you got your 3D printer going?
Yes, I don't know what's the matter with my camera here.
Wow, I'd like to see what you printed. Yeah, that's awesome.
Can you see it?
No, can't see anything. You put it up by your forehead. There you go. We can see a little bit there. Hang on, let me just spotlight you. Hang on a minute. Okay.
Oh.
Hang on. Oops, hang on. I'm admitting people while I'm trying to spotlight you. My apologies here. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a chassis.
Yeah, I was printing that, and I also printed the little gadget for the tire raiser.
Oh, you did. Very nice.
But now I've got a problem with the 3D printer. It's all clogged up.
Oh, it's all. But is the nozzle is clogged?
The nozzle clogged up, yeah. So I've got no needles to clean it out, and I'm unprepared for it.
You need to soak the nozzle in some isopropyl alcohol. That'll soften it.
Yeah, I've just found that out earlier this evening before I come on.
Mm-hmm.
So I've ordered the stuff. I just got to wait for it to arrive. But it's pretty good to print up. I think it was because it was going too long. You know, it took I think 19 hours to print this.
19 hours?
Yeah, all the little stuff was easy. But this big bit took 19 hours.
Yeah, printing the big.
Oh, sorry, Dennis, you're muted there. Sorry, Dennis.
Sorry, I said printing the big stuff will take long.
Yeah,
the chassis probably didn't take 19 hours, but the parts for the tire raiser probably take a long time.
But I think because it
especially
took so long,
if you're printing them solid.
Because it took so long, it got too hot and it clogged up.
Ah, okay. Because I guess you have an option, Dennis, to print something hollow or solid.
Yeah, when you set up your slicer and your print program, you can decide whether you need the whole thing solid or whether you have a percentage infill. So you can basically do the outside solid, and then the inside pieces you can drop down to like 15% fill or something like that. That doesn't use as much plastic and takes a lot less time.
Gotcha.
But then you don't have as strong a part, but you don't have as heavy a part either.
Right. So if you're building something as Petrucci was for the tire raiser, you want the strength, and that's why it would take.
Probably, yeah. I don't know how Greg set that file up, but it's probably a solid print because you need it to be pretty strong.
Well, listen, kudos to Petrucci for using your 3D printer. Well done.
Damn straight. Actually, really well done. When you see the first couple of prints that came off of my printer, and you see that, he's done really well. The first body I tried to print was a disaster.
Well, the trouble I had was getting a file from the computer to the printer. I was having a bit of trouble, but I managed to sort it out.
Good.
Good for you. Well, you took on quite the project for your first print. Then that's a pretty complex print, even the chassis.
Now I just got to find out how to assemble it all.
Awesome. Well,
Well, if you could assemble the printer, you should be able to assemble the chassis.
Yeah, no, I haven't got no screws or anything, so I've got to sort the screws out to screw it all together and do whatever.
And what model 3D printer do you have, Petrucci?
I have a Flux Deluxe Plus.
Okay.
I don't know if you could see it. It's over in the back of me.
I don't. Let's see. I don't think so. But,
can you see that 3D? The 3D on the top there above my head.
oh yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
DVD
Yeah.
player. It's
Yeah.
underneath that, but the camera. Let's move the camera. I don't know what's about this camera this week. It's
Well, actually, it looks like you've got it switched. Do you have a couple of cameras, like a laptop, by chance? Because I think your laptop camera is working, and maybe the other you may have switched to the alternate camera on your.
That's why the problem is. I see it now. Yeah, I forgot I had this one on here.
Wow.
Sometimes I actually think we all do very well for a bunch of old farts dealing with all this technology. We've come a long way.
That's why I don't fly, because on the flight recorder, my last words would be, "What's this button for?"
I mean, there's probably a lot of guys our age who struggle to program a video recorder.
Yeah, thank goodness we don't have VCRs anymore in the
Yeah,
flashing
true.
12s.
Yeah, but yeah, we do well, I think, in general.
Very good.
I feel good about myself just being able to get onto this Zoom meeting.
Yeah, damn straight. Yeah.
I was going to say, Neil, yeah,
that
you've got
challenged us a
different
little in the
surroundings there,
beginning.
yeah.
That's for sure.
And does anyone else have anything else to show and tell? Oh, hang on, Anthony. Is that you, Anthony?
Yeah,
Yep.
Maybe. How you doing there?
On you, man, Dennis.
Hey, look at that. What do you got? What is that, Anthony?
Okay, so I've
Looks
got
like a
some stuff
thingy.
this week that I don't normally buy.
It's
or
a
collect.
Shinoda
And this was
Dart,
in
I
it.
think.
Yeah, it's a Shinoda painted by Moose, I think. Is it Moose?
Yeah.
In the States?
Could have been, yeah, either him or Gyrus.
I think it was Moose. I
Well,
got it
if
from
it's
a guy
loose, there should
called,
be a little logo on the side somewhere, showing a little noose.
yeah, there it is there. You
Yeah,
won't see
okay.
it, but it's microscopic. It's
Yeah. It's just that
It's,
little. Well, your finger's covering it now, but
oh, come on.
lift it.
Camera.
Yeah, there
can-
against the side. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little noose. That's new. Yeah, that's Joe.
It came with this.
Oh,
so
with a
that-
cooker.
Is that the REH or is it the actual Cox?
No, that's a
Actual.
1/24 scale, so
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
actual car.
124. Yeah, and this one as well.
REH only
I
ever
don't
made.
normally,
And a super cook.
yeah, I don't normally collect the stuff, but it was an offer I couldn't refuse.
Anthony, those look great.
Every self-respecting slot car racer should have at least one Cucaracha.
Hey.
Right.
So, well, Anthony, those look almost brand new. Did they come with
They
a
are.
box?
Well, no. Look, this one's got one of the fins missing, front fins, which I'm going to replicate and try and put on. But essentially, they're in very, very good condition. Yeah, this one looks virtually
Yeah,
brand
that
new.
one's really nice. Got black tires on it though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's-
because the originals were grey.
Let's see the motor, Anthony. Okay, that's good. And on the other one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the NASCAR motor. Perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Those two cars they're pretty well period correct, as they say.
Yeah.
Except apart from the black tires.
Yeah. But yeah, and they kind of shot foam anyway. So if I ever do get to race them, they'll have to have urethane on them or something like that.
Yeah. So what you do is you find some old Ortmans for the Vanquish MGs, the 1/32 scale Vanquish cars.
Yeah,
And
you
then
take them down.
you machine the foam on those wheels so that it looks like the inside of the Vanquish tire, and you put the Vanquish tire over the top.
Okay.
You get my meaning?
Yeah, absolutely get it. But I actually think I've got some tires I got from, I think I may have got them from Paul Gage. That'll probably fit these.
Yeah. And that's what I've done quite often. You actually you machine the foam so that it looks like the rim that the tire would normally fit on.
Right.
And then you fit the tire over the top of the foam,
Top of
glue it on, either with a little bit of super glue or some contact cement or whatever. And then
A very good idea.
through the tire, and then you get this foam infill, and they work fantastic.
Yeah.
But I've also done it with Ortman's Vanquish Ortmans, just direct onto a 124 scale rim, and just glued the sidewalls or the beads, and left an air gap in the middle, and they work great as well.
Okay, good
But
idea.
the foam inside's probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's those are really nice. Very
Yeah,
good.
very nice.
Thank you.
Where'd you get them, Anthony?
You know a guy called Chris Brunings?
Ah,
It's branding. Yeah.
He's packed up. So I've got these. I just took these two. He's got a couple on eBay at the moment. He's got a Choti on eBay. It's beautiful, but it's just so expensive. And I got all his spares, which was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
All for me.
Chris is a heck of a nice guy too.
Superb, absolutely.
I met him a couple of years back.
Yeah.
I have a monogram Lola T70 132nd scale that I got off of him.
Okay.
Wow. So he's a known enthusiast then.
Yeah, he was, and he was a top ISRA racer, Eurosport and so on racer. But I think their family business, the automobile business, is just taking so much of his time nowadays.
He found, I mean, he was talking to me about what he used to do to prepare for the races. And I mean, while I understood everything that he was saying, it was just beyond my knowledge capabilities, that's for sure. Just talking about tires, nothing else, just tires.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. And he just said he couldn't spend the time anymore. So
You want to talk about tires?
yeah, but I mean, he was talking about 10 or 12 different densities.
Yeah, well, what you can see there is 3 different types of foam on 3 different types of rims, and that's only 9 of the 20-something pairs that I'm preparing to go to South Africa with.
Are you going to South Africa?
Yeah, I leave on Sunday.
What for? The SA Champs?
I'm going to race the SA Champs in Port Elizabeth, but I'm primarily going to see my mother.
Okay. Stay
Because
safe down there.
she turns 96 in December, and I don't want to travel all the way out there without doing something for myself. So I'm going to the race first, and then I'm going to spend some time with her.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do well. You always did. And you always.
I'm sure I'm not, actually. Those guys are so hot on their own tracks. I mean, the last time I went out there 2 years back and raced in Cape Town, they handed me my butt in just about every class I raced. Yeah, I mean, expect it, right? I hadn't raced on those tracks in 30 years, and they race on them every week.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I never did well when I went down to Port Elizabeth in East London. Struggled.
I haven't ever raced in Port Elizabeth. I did very well in my very last national in East London, but in times before that, I had a lot of trouble. But on the early East London track, that downhill section,
Yeah.
I really had a trouble. It was a weird track for the guys who don't know it. It had an uphill straightaway that went by you from right to left. And then at the top of the hill, it had this long keyhole, that long right-hand turn, then a tighter right-hand turn, and then a left-hander. But the left-hander started going downhill in the middle of the left-hander. And it had this long downhill straightaway. And if you didn't absolutely nail that correctly, the car came out just at the top of the hill, and it would slide all the way down to the bottom of the hill and go straight into the barrier at the bottom. And I had a car one year that had a brass guide tongue. And every time I hit that, it would bend the guide down, and the next lap it would be even worse. I had a terrible time. I think I came either last or second last in that particular national. And then 2 or 3 years later, back on the same track, I came in second.
Because you got rid of the brass guide?
Oh yeah, I had a much better car.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, wait, and we have another raised hand. Michael, what have you got to show us?
I was stuck in Walmart, and just the same day that I had seen the Goodwood videos, and there was a Ford Thunderbird 1959 that had actually won one of the earlier races, and it was a really interesting race. And this just happened to pop up, and I haven't seen these kits at all since I was in my teens. And this one was just lying at a Walmart. So I thought, cool, I'll grab it. They're not any longer $1.50 as they used to be when I was a kid. They're $15.
Actually, 15 is a pretty good price.
Is it really?
Yeah. Because, they came out with the Ranchero, the 63 Corvette, that T-Bird, and then a 32 Ford. So they're slowly repopping the.
I've also got a Mustang.
Oh, and a Mustang. You're right. I'm so sorry. Yes, Anthony, you're absolutely right. And a Mustang. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to model it after that particular T-Bird because it was really fun. I remember Tom Christensen drove it a couple years ago, and it was in the mid pack, something like that. But it was right at the pointy end this time and running away. It was interesting to watch.
Last.
What's that?
He started stone last.
Yeah.
And he won it. So it's unbelievable. I agree with you. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've got.
Awesome.
Seems
John,
like
you're
John's
muted.
disconnected. Are you on, John?
John is muted. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Next up,
What,
Big Dan,
John
by the
or
looks of
John
it.
Kit?
What was he doing?
John, that was naughty. Dead air.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I
Yeah.
thought Alan had something to show. I'm so sorry. It's my.
No, it's either Alan or
I
Big
do.
Dan is next up on my screen.
Oh, I'm sorry because Alan had his hand up. I'm so sorry. It's Big Dan. I'm so sorry, Big Dan. Wow, you guys.
Amateur hour today.
So you ought to be. I mentioned last week that I'd come across some 60s magazines, the Australian release ones. What I do eventually, I'll scan these and some interesting bits out of them, like the bits that mention me, and which will be none. There's about 6 issues of this. It was called Model Car and Slot Racing Review. So that was one of the magazines.
No, sorry, Big Dan. Were they actually published in Australia?
Yeah. As far as I know, John. That one was called Slot Rod and Auto Modeler.
Holy cow! Now, what are the dates on them, if you don't mind me asking?
That's October 1966. The others I showed went from late 1966 to about late 67. And this other one was called Slot Car and Modeler.
Cool.
Yeah, so
If you scan them, where are you going to put them?
Well, I thought I might send them to somebody Galb at somebodygalb.com, and maybe he could be a focal point for distribution for anyone who might want to have a look at them. Yeah, I'll put them in a PDF or something like that so that easy for people to look at.
You could. Do you have a Google Drive or a?
Oh yes, I do, Dennis. Yeah, I could still share there, I suppose.
You could put them all on a Google in a folder on your Google Drive and give us a share to that.
Yeah. The other thing, while I was here, I've I've got some club corner stuff which I'll put on later. But Dennis, if you don't do any good in the racing in South Africa, you can probably revert to your old habits and drink beer and spray stuff on the track afterwards and have a hoot watching everyone slide off. You know, like
Oh
in the
God,
old
you still
days.
remember that story?
It's the only thing
Yeah.
I mention. I've got it on a sticky note.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was that's kind of frowned on these days, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. But
I'm
I will
surprised.
certainly be drinking beer.
Okay, right.
When you see Gustav Heyman, Dennis, ask him about the fire.
Oh, I remember that fire.
Sorry, did you say
Were you
like
there?
fire, like flames fire?
Yeah, like flame spot. Bartlett actually got pretty badly burnt that day, if I remember correctly.
I wasn't the worst, but yes, I did get burnt.
Yeah, they were racing an enduro at a small kind of commercial club track, and somebody was trying to. I seem to remember trying to either clean out a motor or do something, but they were using what in South Africa is called benzene, which we would call heptane or lighter fluid, and it caught fire. And in the rush to try and put it out, they bumped it over and it spilled, and there were a couple of guys got kind of burned that day.
So you guys just wanted to
How's that,
recreate
Anthony? Is
a
that
real
my-
motor
is my-
race. That's what it
Am I
was.
remembering it correctly?
No, you're remembering it correctly. I mean, it was us doing the motor. And the trick is when you do it in benzene and you do it, you've got to keep it below the surface.
Yeah.
And then you don't bring it through the surface as you're taking it out. You switch it
Yeah.
off, then bring it through the surface. And because of the pressure of the race, the guy put it in and then brought it through the surface on, and it just caught fire. And it was a little tub. And the problem was the tub was plastic. So before we could react, a certain Mr. Heyman thought he was helping. He came and he picked up the tub to throw it out the door because we were right by the door.
Yeah.
And the tub collapsed.
Oh.
So it sprayed two of us, and we landed up in hospital with burns. I still have the scars on my arm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
joys.
I still have scars from slot racing too, but they're a little more emotional than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine are more mental now than anything.
So Dennis, I see you have your hand raised. Do you have?
Yeah, I
something
was
to
just going to. Oh, can you enable the screen sharing? The
Yep,
sheen sharing?
absolutely. Hang on. Let me just,
Because I was just going to.
oh, okay. I thought it was enabled. Hang on. I'm trying to. Let's see. Multiple. Try that. Does that work?
Yes.
Excellent.
That's. I was just going to show you that photograph because that was the track that I was talking about. And this is actually the second iteration of that track. So the straightaway on the left side of the photograph goes uphill all the way, and then you get that big keyhole section at the top, and then this downhill section under the bridge. That was the piece on the early track that was really bad. This is the second iteration of the track. They just basically built a new one to the same design, but they made it a whole lot better. And the transitions, particularly down the hill, were a lot better. So it was much easier to drive.
So is this the one that you'll be racing on in South Africa then?
No, unfortunately, not that one. I do have a photo of that somewhere, but I will have to look for it.
Cool. Cool.
So when I find it now, I'll let you know.
Excellent. So while Dennis is looking for that, does anyone else have anything else to show? No, I do have one. Oh, sorry, Henri. By all means, Henri. Sorry.
Couldn't find the hand. Last time I showed you some Ninko projects from the oxygens, and yeah, this is the way they look normally. Battered, 25 years old, no decals on it anymore. Maybe I can try to do a share screen.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you should be able to share. I can help you with that. Okay, I'll stop you sharing until you can find your.
All right.
There you
In the meantime, I found the photo.
Yeah. Here they are then.
Oh, there they. Okay, that's cool.
I showed you the last time the Mercedes
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
from the Camel family, and with the Oliver chassis and slotted range, slotted stuff. Now we've got the Alpha with the blue colors and the really blue camel decals. Made myself, and I did another variant with gray colored decals, and then the Alpa Calibra. So 3 GTMs ready to roll, all of a chassis, build up slotted, and I just purchased the Audi R4. I'm not going to redo it because yeah, it's new and it looks wonderful, but I can't get an Oliver chassis. So I made some holes in it for the 4 wheels and a different motor and a different gear. Just so let's see how it runs, because I have to always another flag in it. But it runs well, but not good enough, because it has to be some tuning because it's an inline. But almost the whole line of Ninko DTM of the years of 80, 85 are now done. So very pleased with it. That's it.
Very cool.
I found that photo.
Oh, you found the photo? Okay, let's see the photo. Yeah. Whoa.
Oh,
That's a six lane track. 150 or so feet, I think. It's all 1/24 scale. So those are the photos that are in the. It's a fancy PDF document that they sent out about the whole race. So you can see all the information, complete with the special logo and the whole deal.
Did it say forward by Ross Braun?
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I just forgot to spell forward correctly, but that's Russell. Yeah, Russell Sheldon, my friend in South Africa, has been a friend of Ross Braun's for a long time, because of when Russell was working for Emirates Airlines. Of course, he got really involved with their sponsorship of Formula One, and so he has all those kind of contacts. Anyway, that's me for the day.
Very cool. Okay. Oh, wow. So Graham, what have you got for us, sir?
Right, usual mixed muddled self, always in a mess. I think I mentioned to you, I think I contacted you on YouTube or something. I said I'm going to try and get some track pictures up and that. Right, well, I finally got something, but it's in no particular order.
That's okay.
Right, let's do. Yeah, let's see if we can find right screen share. I'll just get the pictures up, John. I'll be as quick as I can. I'll get them new to all this technology. Right folder, that'll help. Right, let's see if I can get zoom back now and go.
And you should be enabled to share. So whenever you're ready to share, yeah, get them up and then share the images. Perfect.
Right. Can you
There
see
we go.
that okay?
Yeah. Well, let's see. There we go. Yeah.
Right. That was the old track I had back in about 2000 and God, must have been about 2003, 2004. And we would literally just race cars around and smash them up. I told you. That's why I say I've come back into slot car racing as a noob, because back then it was just out of the box, put it on the track and go. So I built a shed in the garden, 15 by 20, and we just whacked this 6-lane track in there. And we'd come back, we'd go out for a few drinks and stuff. We'd come back at closing time, say at 12 night, and we'd be racing on that until lunchtime, 12 the next day, until everyone was so tired we had to go home.
Okay, so how many takeaways did you have to order then while you were doing that?
There weren't time for takeaways. No one wanted to lose the race. And it gave everyone a chance to sober up as well. So let's see what kind of track is that? Picture. Yeah, that's the other side of it. So
sorry, and Graham, is that Scalextrics that you got there?
Yeah, Scalextric sport track that was. Yeah, well, it was a mixture of the old track and new, but predominantly sport. Yeah.
And 6 lanes. So you had all your mates then.
Yep. I had 5 friends. But yeah, we had some wonderful times there. Again, you can see it's all very rough, very just thrown together. But that's what I knew at the time. So that's what we've done. And we had a good time. But that's not what I came here to show you anyway.
I was going to say, did you like name it the Sobering Raceway or anything like that?
No, just it just was what it was. That was that. Yeah, we all liked it. We had a good laugh. So that was the important thing. And nobody got too stressed.
That's very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Right. Just bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to try and flick up this. Right. This is the track I'm currently building. This, can you see that okay?
Not quite. We just see a blank kind of screen there. Yeah, and you've got a an hourglass. Is it from the cloud, perhaps?
Oh, no, this is straight from your screen. Sharing is paused. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Let me hit screen share. Yeah, I've got to go back into here, I guess, each time. So I didn't know I couldn't.
There you go.
Okay, right.
Yep.
This is one end of the track. If I just scroll through it, I mean, I hope I'm not taking up too much time here.
No, we have time.
Right. Again, bearing in mind, like I said, I'm a noob to this, tuning of the cars, everything like that. I'm gradually learning at my local club. I say local, it's about 70 miles away, but I guess for some people that'd probably be quite local. But I am a carpenter, not a very good one. So that's where my skill really lies. So I've just made a building 35 foot by 17. This is what I was telling Greg about a few weeks ago. So anyway, enough of the waffle.
Right. No, that's okay. So you've cut it. Now that's MDF you're using for your track?
Yeah, 12 mil MDF. Yeah, nice and flexible. So I'm hoping to bend it about a bit and make some nice bank turns, hopefully. Right, if I scroll to the next bit, and you'll see that okay?
Oh yeah, does that go all the way down the back end of your shed then?
Yep. This is the man cave shed. When like I say, that the actual straight itself is the actual just the straight is 25 foot in old money, as I call it, inches and pounds. That's what I measure in. So but yeah, I think it's about 32 and a half foot long from corner to corner. And I was listening to what Dennis said the other week about none of the tracks are competition tracks now have straights in. They all have just either bends or very shallow bends. And I thought, damn, why didn't he say that about a year ago? Or why didn't I discover this? Because I probably would have done the same. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh yeah, it looks
great.
No,
yeah, it's going to be great. Are you kidding? You always want as long as straight as you can get.
Yeah, tell me, which direction are you going to run? Do you know, or are you going to run both?
Well, hopefully run both. I've got the switches to go underneath. Again, I'm still learning about the electronics, Dennis. But I'm
just thinking about if the main straight like that is against the wall, you need to be able to reach the cars if they come off at the beginning of the straightaway.
Yeah. Oh, I've left. This is good. I've left about 16 inches to 20 inches each end, so you can just about slide in as long as your diet is okay.
Okay. Yeah, well, that rules me out.
Yeah. No, I think you'd be fine. I think you all would. Oh, anyway, I'll quickly get to the other pictures unless anyone wants to ask me a question.
Let's go. No, how many lanes are you planning, Graham?
4. I looked at 6, but realistically, I thought 4 is enough because it's only going to be me. This isn't an open club or anything public. It's just for me, my sons, my grandsons, and a few of my friends. And then we'll see where it develops from there. So, but like I say,
and plus with 4 lanes, I mean, you've got enough width to run both 124 and 132nd if you choose.
Yeah, I've done 4¼ inch spacing between the lanes with a 5-inch. What is the actual outside of the track called? The runoff? Is it runoff, apron, or?
Yeah, apron or runoff. Sure, yeah, apron. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got 5 inches either side, so no matter which way I turn me router when I'm routing from inside on the inside of the bend or an outside, it should all match up. Hopefully. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
We call them gutters here.
Yeah, gutter. Yeah, that's absolutely right, Dennis. Yeah. again, I'm learning from you guys. So if you get it wrong, by following me, I get it wrong. But I know you guys will get it right, and that's why I'm here.
Graham, whereabouts are you situated?
Felixstowe in Suffolk.
Oh, Felixstowe's a bit too far. I'm
Yeah.
London. I'm going to come and visit you, but
Well, if you ever take a wrong turn and you come nearby, let me know.
yeah.
Right.
And are you doing copper lane or braided?
Braided. Yeah, proper braided. And it costs a fortune. I don't know
Yeah.
what it costs in the States or elsewhere, but
Cost a fortune.
yeah, I think I spent, must be about 600 quid on it, and I'm hoping I've got enough. That's what it cost here. I don't know what it costs in the
No,
States or around Europe.
It's also expensive here in Europe.
Yeah.
Is it Magna braid, Graham, or just plain braid?
No, I hold a cross up to magnets. I'm not a magnet fan, and I'm not a digital fan. I'm not saying it's wrong, and it's just not my thing. So
Cool.
yeah. Right. If you look here, where can you see the arc bend? I'll say the arc bend. It's like the real shallow bend that comes around to a tight bend, and then you've got a load of tables and rubbish off to the right.
Yeah.
You see that? That's going to be the start finish straight as far as where the drivers stand. So I'll show you the rest of it in a minute, but that's where we're all going to stand. And I've made it sort of like wheelchair accessible as well, because one of my mates has got MS, so hopefully we can get him round as well. All right.
Wow. So what's the total length of the track then?
Well, when I designed it on paper, exactly 130 foot. However, I've made a couple of adjustments, so it might go just above, just under. It's not, you know yourself, it's not until you physically see something, I need to make a change. So, right, let's flick here. That's on the left now, you can see where we all stand, the driver's sort of rostrum, or whatever you want to call it, podium bits. And just through the center there, you'll see the S's. There's 4 of those there. I was only going to do 3 and then put some other kind of bend in, but I thought, you know what, that's where some of the changes were made.
Now, are you planning some elevation for those S's as well?
Yeah, they're going to go above, and the sweeper bend is going to go below. So, right, let's quickly flick to the other. But yeah, that's just from the other end. So you can, from one end to the other, you can see it. I've had to do these pictures, so I remember which bits of track went where and number them each, and which end joined to which, because you easily forget.
When do you think it'll be finished?
When I get time. I've used all my holiday this year, so I haven't really got any more left until January next year. So it's just, you know, I think, do I come on Slot Car Chat tonight, or do I go and do a bit more track? This is important. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly see. Sorry, go on. Someone was going to say something.
Graham, since it's a fairly big track, you may want to consider putting in some duplicate driver stations, so that if you're having a proper race with marshals, you can have 4 guys side by each. But if you've just got 4 guys playing around, you could have a driver station in sort of each of the 4 corners of the track. So you could, it's easy to do, just to run some extra wires there. So if you're having a beer and playing with your buddies, you don't always have to keep walking around the whole bloody track if someone comes off.
Yeah, I've actually made up some of them and took them up to the Norwich club, because I'm sort of reasonably new there. I've been there about a year, but I can only go every 3 weeks. And I did actually come up with that idea because my friend who's got the MS obviously can't get about. He's wheelchair bound. So we made one of them for him, and it worked perfectly. So yeah, sort of up on that idea. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I have that on my home track as well. And it saves spilling beer if you have to, walk around the track. So I've got little beer holders in each of the 4 corners, and you can, I can have 4 buddies over, and we can basically reach the whole track without going anywhere if we need to.
Yeah. I'm actually going to put a bit of a ban on the alcohol or drinks near the track, because you always get one person who gets overexcited. So we can have drinks in there, not a problem, but that will be off to what I call the little section where the little repair tables will be, where we can fix the cars. So we'll see how it goes. But that's pretty much me, unless anyone's got any questions or anything.
Well, that looks great. That looks just great. Yeah, and thank you for showing us the photos. I mean, as you progress, please feel free to show more.
Okay, I'm just going to very quickly pan through. Just ignore these. These are the old models. There's the old control tower I started building years ago, and it's now sat in a box because I used to like to do a bit of modeling. I'm just trying to find. Now, these are not my tracks. That's something. Oh, that's the Norwich track I race on.
Go back one. One more.
That's not my work.
No, I know. I left that track about 45 minutes ago.
Wow, is it Ernie Mossetti's track?
That was built by Steve Ogilvy. The track's up and running. We've been running on it for 2 or 3 weeks now, and I left there a half an hour ago.
Wow, I'm blown away.
That's one of two. That's the upstairs track.
2.
Yeah, well, there's on the left side of this picture, you can't really see it, but there's stairs going down. And there's a 6-lane polycar track, 135-foot 6-lane polycar track down there, plus the shop and showroom and where you'd buy all the cars and all the rest of the stuff. So this is the wood track, this is a spray glue track, and then there's a plastic track down in the basement.
I just watched the pictures of this and followed some of Steve's videos on YouTube. And, you know, he's a really fantastic guy. You ask him a question and he'll get back to you. I mean, you're a lovely bloke.
Yeah, we were lucky. He was, we basically coerced him into coming out of retirement to build this track for us.
Yeah, I do remember him saying in one of the videos, he said a favor for an old friend. Yeah, no, fantastic. I mean, obviously I ain't gonna build nothing like that, but I have used his design. Like I say, he put it up and he showed you basically what he done. So I pretty much copied how he would do his tracks because I didn't know what to do. So found myself online as we are. I'm just gonna try and find, I'll be as quick as I can. I'll quickly go through these pictures. Sorry about this, folks. Ignore some of this. There we are. That's the track. Crudely done with a pen at work.
Oh, so and now is that to scale as well, Graham?
Yep. Yep. Each little square is 12 inches, 1 foot.
Wow, that's really neat. Well, I loved your structures though. Did you just do that out of like a sheet styrene or?
Oh yeah. Oh God, I haven't built them for donkey's years. I've got all the templates and stuff sat in my garage. I was desperate for money years ago, absolutely flat broke. And I thought, I've got to do something. So I was into Muscat Electrics. This is the quick story behind it. Made a load of stuff, and some people see pictures of it and said, wow, can you make us one? And I think it was Stephen Farr. Is it Far Away Raceway or something? Stephen Farr ordered a whole load of stuff off me years ago.
Very cool.
Stephen Farr Jones at Far Out.
Yeah, Far Out. Yeah, he did send me a load of pictures. I said, do you mind showing me a few pictures once you put the bits of scenery in this? Because I used to sell stickers and all sorts. Only started off by accident.
Yeah, if you can actually see anything on his track because of all the things on his track.
Yeah,
it's it's one of those, shall we say, super decorated tracks, but it's very nice.
Yeah.
What do you think you're predominantly going to run on this track, Graham?
Oh, I've got one 124 car, but it's predominantly 132.
Okay.
But I've made that option there available. So again, like I said, I'm a noob to this, so I've wanted to do it for years, and but I'm new to it. So again, I'm learning. Hence, I'm here listening to you guys and just picking up ideas and taking notes.
Yeah, with a track like that, I think with 4 1/4 inch lane spacing and all the rest of the stuff, I think you'll gravitate to some of the quicker cars in a big hurry.
Maybe I've got a set of NSR. What have I got? I've got NSRs. I've got 4 of those. Yeah, I've got some Group 5 and things. Like I say, with my club, I've had to buy the cars because I don't want to borrow. So I've got a few cars. But yeah, any tips or advice on cars to get tuning, I'm all ears.
Yeah. Build the track first.
I can only race once every 3 weeks. So I get no practice between races when I go to my club. So I have to learn very quickly. It takes me an hour and a half to drive there. I get 2 hours of racing and another hour and a half home every 3 weeks. So you can see why I'm desperate to build a track.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Oh, there's some track sections.
He gets the prize for dedication. That's for dead sure.
So those are the sections that, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll be quick because, like I say, I'll be swallowing up a lot of time here, but
Oh, it's
it's just to
okay.
give you. Yep. Quickly just pan through some of the corners, and I'll tell you what they are. I'm not that strong because I've got a bit of a health condition. Nothing we're going to talk about on here, but I'm not that strong. And lifting some of them, the weight of them, you don't realise just how heavy it is and how awkward and how careful you've got to be when you're picking these up that you don't break anything.
Yeah.
So and then you also have to, because you're planning to sort of have some elevation and some twists, so you have to mind that as well, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why I went with this, well, 1/2 inch or 12 mil, whatever you wish to call it, because that's what Steve Ogilvy said was quite good. It's quite flexible, so you can put a bit of bend in it, and obviously pull in the degrees on the corner. If you do, well, he put all the things online for the pi calculations to work out how many inches equal how many degrees if you want to pull a bank turn sort of thing. So we'll see.
That's
Have you
very,
seen
very
any
cool.
have you seen any reduction in the wood prices?
Sorry, so I'm a bit hard of hearing as well. Did you say the cost of the wood?
Yeah, has the wood prices been going down? Because that's what I've been waiting on, is the wood just went through. Oh God.
Yeah. When I do a bit of research in my spare time with what's going on in the markets politically, geopolitically, and everything else, and I knew last year I had to really, as the old term goes, pull your finger out and get this ordered and everything. I ordered timber and had it all sitting about, stacked everywhere. My wife wasn't very happy because I knew the price was going up, and if I'd have gone to do it this year, with the cost of timber now near enough doubled in most cases, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So yeah, you're whether they'll come down the prices, I don't know.
Graham, you being a carpenter, do you work on building sites?
Nope. I used to build roof trusses many years ago, and done a sitting guilds course back when I was about 16, 17. That's it.
You don't work on site at all?
Nope, mate. No, I'm an ex-crane driver, believe it or not, on these things.
I was going to say, if you worked on the building site, you could take the offcuts home, couldn't you?
Oh, I'd love to. But yeah, fortunately, my son works in a place where they throw about 3 industrial-sized skips of timber away every week, and I managed to get.
Go and ask them if you can take some of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I built most of my shed with.
Well done. Hey, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing I'm going to tell you. Most of everything's obviously not the MDF, but most of the other bits in there is all recycled timber. So I've done everything I can. That's what I said. I think I've mentioned about cost before. If I'd have tried to do it now, even with the free timber, it wouldn't have happened.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll quickly just pan the last. Oh, there's me in person. First part of the track with the first joint. So.
Oh my God. So you've progressed quite a ways then.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm doing an hour here, an hour there, half a day. You know, if I'm on a day off and my wife's at work or something. So it's just labor of love, and I'll get it done when I get time. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Oh, so those are your joins then?
Yeah. You'll notice there's I don't know if you look there, there's a slight couple of mil gap there.
Yeah.
On the main wood, but if you look above where the track is, it's near enough tight. Steve never said anything about it in his videos, but I figured if I leave a couple of mil gap on the lower part, when I do the bolts up, that should then give me a nice tight fit. So I only put that together yesterday, so I've got to go out there tonight and look and make sure it's all okay. But yeah, I think, yeah, and that's it. That's me done, folks.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. That's
great. Very nice.
Just great. It's going to look absolutely fabulous.
Good job, Graham. Just check those joins every 3 or 4 days for like a couple of days, because things are going to expand and contract and settle and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'll make a note of that. Yep.
Yeah, don't be in a big rush to get paint on it for a week or so.
Well, I think it's probably going to take me a month just to get off.
Yeah, no, well, perfect. The longer the better, to just let
Yeah.
things settle in a bit.
Actually, on that subject, I'll be quick because obviously lots of other people have got to talk. I did notice some of the MDF I bought just over a year ago, and it had to go into storage. And then when I bought a second lot, because I realized I was going to make a bigger track, it was a slightly different type of MDF, but the stuff I bought a year earlier must have absorbed a tiny bit of moisture because it was about a mil of it. It basically gone to about 13 mil.
Yeah.
Now I've compensated for that in the build, so everything's still flush and level.
Yeah.
But as you say, the moisture thing, I think we discussed this last time with Greg mentioned about moisture, rain, hot, cold season. Yeah, absolutely spot on there. And yep.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Well, Alan has his own. Oh, okay, Alan, by all means, please, sir. Thank you so much for that, Graham. That was awesome.
We've been talking about reciprocating tire truers because Greg has got this thing where he's made this thing to add on to the tire raiser. And tire truing, in its early stages was nothing more than dropping the car onto a track and running it backwards, skimming the tires. I noticed Alexis Gitanus has sort of a tire true that's a reciprocating tire truer. You should be able to see that.
Can you pull it back a wee bit, Alan, please? There. Yeah, it's.
Is that working at all?
A wee bit.
I can see a lot of lights.
Yeah, it's difficult to see.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I do this, whether that makes it better.
A wee bit.
So
done on your phone. That should reduce the backlight then.
Oh, you want. Oh, that's way too bright. Way too bright. My eyes.
I need new records.
You actually probably wanted a bit lower, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's not going to work, which is a shame. I'll show you this next week then, or maybe later. But what I've been doing is researching various different reciprocating tire truers. Because modern tire truers that you can buy as factory type things, they just don't seem to do that reciprocation. And as Greg has noted and seen an option to make a reciprocator for the tire raiser, different tire truers do it in different ways. And the NSI uses a rotating disc. The Hoodie uses a rotating drum, but doesn't, actually spin the tires. And I've seen several people make several attempts to try and make something reciprocate. And the simple way is just have a motor pod running backwards and you skim it across the emery paper. You can automate that with a rotary, which is what I was going to show you there. But there's somebody down at London Slot Car called Derek Moore, and he's made a reciprocating tire truer that uses a cylindrical drum in the same way as the Hoodie tire truer does. And the benefit of what he's done is he's using the drum from a Dremel. So these things are cents. The drum for a Hoodie is big money. The drums he's using, you just buy them from the hardware store, stick them in a drill chuck, and away you go. So next week I will find pictures and I'll show you some pictures of different reciprocating tire truers. The idea being that there's a potential there to make a better tire truer that could be made with a 3D printer. So I'll be thinking about that and looking at that. It's a shame I can't share these pictures with you.
That's okay. No, but geez. Well, we'll look forward to that next week. Thank you.
There's a guy in New Zealand. He's an expat South African, and he has just come up with a new tire truer that looks kind of like a Hoodie, but it has a stepper motor on the section of the tire truer that feeds the tire into the drum. It doesn't actually reciprocate, and it's really much more for foam tires. But he's got this thing where it has a microprocessor in it, and you can feed in the final diameter that you want, and you feed in the amount of current draw that you want, and you switch it on. And the next thing you know, when it switches itself off, then it's all done. I saw it on Facebook the other day on one of the slot car groups on Facebook. It looks fantastic.
Looking good. Right, let me see whether I can do that. Is that clearer?
Yeah.
You guys seeing that now?
Yeah.
So that's a quite simple reciprocating method. That's quite a good one because it's just using a motor pod with a motor, and it's using a rotor to be able to do that. But there's this is the one I really wanted to show you. This is Derek Moore's reciprocating tire true. It's difficult to make out what's going on here.
Okay, that yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
The motor itself, the whole motor arrangement is on a slide. And on the end of that motor shaft, which is driven by a spring, is the rotary head that trues the tires. So he's got the wheels spinning in one direction, the rotor spinning in another direction, and he can move this slide back and two. And what's needed here is a way of automating the slide so that it can be slid back and two and automatically tighten down. So you can leave it for half an hour and it takes 1/4 of a millimeter off every minute, or even less. And then the thing will then automatically true the tires down to the way you want it to be. So those are the kind of things that people are doing. I mean, by the way, I love Derek's steampunk stuff. Derek is not afraid of using wood. You know, his stuff, he uses wood all the time. Any old bits of wood he can get. It's like my grandfather's basement, you know, with cobblestones and mangles. You know what mangles are, but that's Derek's style. And, you know, can't knock Derek's style because he's a very quick racer and he does that through diligent preparation. So at some point, to try and link together Alexis' idea of the reciprocator with what Derek's done could produce a tire skimmer truer that would be much better. The objective being to reduce the heat by making sure that nothing touches it. The sand drum doesn't touch the same point of the tire at any point, and it can just sweep across. The whole thing stays cool. So that's my bit for this week.
Alan,
Sorry, go ahead.
Alan, what's nice about that one you were showing on your phone with the rear end of the car going back and forth is that on a brand new car, it also helps wear in the gears as well as breaking in a motor.
I'm not that convinced about that because you have to run, if you do it in the car, you have to run the wheels in reverse. So you're wearing in the gears not the way that you will run them in the car.
That's
and
right.
Also,
good point.
Good point. Digital track. If you're using digital like oxygen or something, you can't easily reverse the spin of the wheels. And if you just take the motor wires out and get them away from the digital chip and plug the analog right in there, you'll blow up a little unit called the ferrite man, which is a noise suppressor. So there are lots of reasons. There are lots of reasons not to true your wheels in the car, but there are lots of reasons to true them on the axle that is in your car. So, you know, there's pros and cons to all of them. But the objective, keeping the wheels, the tires cool, is the objective. And a reciprocator is definitely going to be better. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, what people think of Greg's device when they start receiving them and testing them.
Very cool.
The other thing about using a reciprocator is that you don't transfer the profile of the drum onto the wheel.
Yes.
That's the single biggest weakness of any drum style design, isn't it? If your drum's not perfectly true, then your tire won't end up perfectly true.
It may well be perfect. It may well be perfectly concentric, but if the surface of the drum isn't flat, if the surface of the drum has a high spot somewhere,
that's
then
what I meant.
The tire is going to have a groove that's a low spot.
That makes
sense. Yeah, so much as though you think that tire truers after 30, 40 years of slot car racing should be an evolved and finished type of idea, I don't think there's one out there on the market right now that really is the do-it-all perfect solution. I've not seen.
Yeah, and to your point, Alan, I mean, in the 60s, it was, put a piece of sandpaper on the track and run the heck out of the motor. Yeah.
It still is in 21. I saw a video produced and released this week.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, does anyone have anything else? If not, I have a little bit of an update on the 935 project if anyone is interested.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Hang on, I'm gonna share my screen here. Righty. So just a little bit of work. I was reshaping the window area to make sure that the glass fit. So there's a little bit of, I guess, material removal here. And let me just progress here. And lo and behold, it actually will fit. So there'll be a little bit of, fill in, but for the most part, it's actually come together quite nicely. I'm amazed at how well that C-pillar went together. And that's one side. And that's another shot of it without the window. And there's the RSK. Oh, by the way, yeah, that's the next step. Bondo. And this is the other side here. So again, I just sort of opened it up and it fits. And so it's just the next step is sort of to finish it off a wee bit better. Now, just again, I thought I'd update on the RSK as well. I tried using that Tamiya putty. I don't know about you folks, but I find it's sort of like jumping in a pool, in a cold pool of water. There's massive shrinkage there. So I think I'm gonna try and use some Bondo instead. But that's actually it's shaping up quite nicely.
That joke went over everybody's head, John.
Well, thank you, Frank. I'm glad you got it. You California guys get everything, man.
I got it. Just Walter thing here. I happen to absolutely love Tamiya putty.
Do you really? So you don't find it shrinks a lot, Chris?
It does shrink a lot, but if you any putty you can't put on thick. So
yeah, I mean, even Bondo, you want to put on thin layers, but I find with automotive Bondo, at least it doesn't, regress.
Well, I mean, you put Tamiya putty on, you let it sit for a couple of days and, sand it and put another coat and wait for a couple of days and sand it and wait for another couple of days.
Okay.
Great putty. I mean, it adheres to, any styrene just absolutely spectacularly well.
Oh, that it does. No doubt. Yeah. That's for sure. Because I guess it's almost like the same sort of basis for like even plastic cement. It's like styrene based. It really goes into the plastic. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's the quick update on the 935. We're getting there slowly. What about now? Does anyone have any updates as far as is this a good time for Club Corner? Any club updates, activities, what you guys have been up to? Oh, Big Den, what do you got there, buddy? Oh, you're muted, Big Den. I can't hear you.
But most people would think that was an advantage. Just a couple of things before I get into the screen share. When Graham was talking about his nocturnal adventures there a little while ago, would that be, going from midnight to midday? Would that be described as a sobering 12-hour?
That's really, eh?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. And the other one, Alan might have seen this on the Australian forum because I know he's in the Down Under proxy race. They haven't been able to run anything on the first round of the proxy, because of our, the New South Wales and around the Canberra, the capital territory area there has been in pretty strict lockdown. From this Friday on, they're allowed to have 2 visitors to their household. So the guy who's running the proxy, on this news, he said, "Guess what I'll be doing?" And one of the guys quipped back, "Trying to find 2 friends, perhaps." Anyway, I'll do a screen share now, and Dennis generally likes this. We're talking about the single seat. Oh, hopefully we're getting there. The single seat Can-Am series just started. The next one down in Hobart at the Hobart Miniature Club.
Oh, good.
Those are nice.
You can see 11 cars there. So
there's a CAC at the back, and Lola T530 on the right here, and like a frisbee in the front, and there's a McRae in there, and it's good stuff. And
I wasn't there, but one of the local the guy that keeps their web updated sent me these pictures up because I asked him specifically if he could get it up for today so I could entertain you, Dennis, and others who are interested. So there's a shot of there's the front half of the field just as they took the picture, not in any particular order.
Very nice.
There's the back couple of rows.
Yeah.
And
Complete the CRC, CIC even done in the original.
Yeah.
All the original livery. Very nice.
The podium
colors, yeah.
The podium for that was round 2. They
what's this car that's silver on the left? Sorry to interrupt, Dave.
It's a Dennis, you let them know. What do you reckon?
I don't know that one. I'd have to look it up.
There's a side-on picture of it in a minute, so it might make more sense there. I don't know. All I know is I've got a McRae, the one with a little sort of Snoopy nose, the little proboscis-like foo sticking his nose over the fence or something like that. And
how are they making these? Are these 3D printed bodies for the vac forms?
no, they're resin. One of the racers, Reese, did all the molding of them.
Okay.
One of the guys, they're running on an HRS angle winder chassis, but they got a bulk lot of them many years ago now. So they resurrect this class every couple of years. So, nice. So you can see your friend Phil is still up the front end of the field there. Yeah. I might just have to blow this one up a bit. They were very low resolution. Yeah, it's not going to expand all that well, but you can see I get the idea there of. That's a nice looking car. I mean, it's only white, but it looks pretty nice. It's one. The guy Dave, the fellow who done that one, he's one of the better, detailers. And there's another one. That was a guy I think who.
Yeah, that's a shadow. That's easy.
That's a shadow.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a DN4.
Yeah. That was the one described as being in stealth mode, and that's Phil's car there. So it looks very, very strict. I know it's not an Audi Streamliner. But
No. I don't remember offhand. There were a bunch of really crazy cars at that stage, and the Australians themselves actually made quite a few. I mean, McRae was Australian. There were a couple of others, as I recall.
Do we think that if Can-Am had continued longer than it did, that they would have all become similar looking like Formula One cars are now?
Well, one of the reasons this sort of version of Can-Am came about was because everybody had a lot of F5000 cars they didn't know what to do with. So they basically put bodies on Formula 5000 cars. Yeah,
I think you can see that theme in the number 5 car. You can imagine that being an open wheeler with just bodywork put on the side. But
that's exactly right, Big Dan. Yep.
Yeah,
and a couple of them were even less. They had even less bodywork than that. They were pretty much Formula 5000s with cycle fenders on.
Right.
Yeah. And then I think a lot of those moved into the inter-series racing. A few years later, that they did a lot of
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So I'll stop that share and I'll stop talking and see what I can drum up for next week.
That was awesome. Thanks, Big Dan. That's cool. Jim, what have you got for us, sir?
Something I think kind of interesting. We had a club race last weekend in Santa Rosa, California, at Red Hill Raceway. We did 4 classes, and it was kind of not really a makeup race, but we were supposed to have a Northern California Challenge race between Sacramento and the Bay Area that day. But the racetrack that it was on, you may have seen one of the big fires out in California about a month ago called the Calder Fire. And it kind of started in Grizzly Flat. And the name of that track is Grizzly Mountain, which means he lives in Grizzly Flat. And fortunately, his house is still there. He's still without drinkable water. So we had to postpone the race. But fortunately, one of the best tracks in Northern California still exists. And by that means his house still exists. So that's great for him. So we moved it. But I live in Sacramento, but I kind of race with the Bay Area guys. So I'm kind of considered a Bay Area racer, even though I live in Sacramento. The Sacramento guys will not travel to this track in Santa Rosa. And there's a reason for it. And now I'll get to my screen share. That's not what there we go.
There we go.
So there's a reason for it. And I think you can see it here.
Sweet.
It has
Noticed in the video.
you can see on this area here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah.
In this area here, the two outside lanes on each side squeeze into each other. So you've got two squeezes, lane 1 and 2, lane 3 and 4. And you can kind of see that here, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you get to this switchback area, everything comes together. And some racers, especially traditional racers, can't deal with it. We've literally had a guy pick up a car and throw it because he got so mad. So, hopefully that doesn't happen. But I've told racers that come up here to race on this track, you've just got to get in the mindset that sometimes you're going to get stuck in traffic and sometimes your competition is going to get stuck in traffic. But here's just a real short clip to give you an idea what this is like to run on. This is Carrera Gt3. And so I think it's kind of, in general, I don't like squeezes. But if you get used to it, and then again, just get in that mindset, sometimes you're going to benefit sometime from it, and sometimes you're not. And you've got to get a really good run going down this straightaway out of the picture here to get around somebody. And so it creates a unique situation that, like I said, some people can't deal with. Some Sacramento guys came down one time and ran on it and won't go back.
We used to, there was a few proxies held on that track a while back, and they were for some 60s Formula One cars that the rules dictated they had to be fairly detailed. And whoever was driving them on that track really might not have done the best job. So a lot of guys got their cars back mangled. So we basically bypassed that track on the proxy circuit for quite some time.
Yeah, and that has to do with, I get why you wouldn't want a track like that in a proxy race, but it goes more to the drivers than the cars. I've only driven one proxy race in my life. It was not at that track. But I mean, I'm going to make an assumption here. I'm assuming a proxy race to see who has the fastest car. So you shouldn't, when you've got two cars, one faster than the other, or one driver faster than the other, whatever, you shouldn't be blocking. You should let the car go by and see who has the fastest car. And in this particular club, that didn't happen. I had one guy, I was in the faster lane. Honestly, I'm a faster driver than he is. And he was just blocking me at every point that he could. And I just didn't feel it was fair to the cars, because it's not about the drivers, it's about the cars in a proxy race. So,
or it should be. Unfortunately, it should be, but unfortunately it's not be. And
yeah.
On that particular track, even if you want to let somebody buy it, you got to wait 3/4 of a lap to let somebody go.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. That is a tough. The only way we could do a proxy race is just to run lane 1 and 4, because you can at least be side by side in that tight section in 1 and 4. You can't, if you hit it, you're going to hit the other guy because you're so close to him, but you can get by.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. It's kind of a unique track and it's fun in its own right, but some people just don't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim,
you beat up on all the locals too, huh?
He did, yes.
Yeah, I did pretty well last weekend. Yeah,
pretty well. Yeah, 4 out of 4.
Well, one I shouldn't. Well, this goes back to racing too, and this was a club race, obviously, so it's a fun race. In the Carrera race, the track owner Nate, and if those of you in HO racing heard of the Cat Spa Ring, that's Nate's brother that passed away that owned the Cat Spa Ring. So Nate races 32nd scale. He had the fastest car, and he was relatively probably a lap and a half ahead of me. His screw came out, body screw. And one of the other competitors would not give him the extra 10 seconds between lane changes to get some tape on it and get it put back. And, by the letter of the rules, yeah, he was right, but it's a club race. Let him put it back in. And the screw came out again, and he lost about 5 laps. He would have won that first race. And the same thing happened to him in the Group C race. We were running very close. It would have been a very close race. When he was out of it, I kind of ran away with it. But yeah, but I did have a good race, good weekend. Some of it was beneficial luck, and some of it was preparation and driving. So
don't you just love the smell of testosterone in the morning?
Jim, I can see an unhealthy trend developing there. I can see blue and yellow cars.
Well, those, yeah. Yeah, can I say I hate blue and yellow cars now? But no, it's just no. I had an all yellow Aston Martin Vantage, and so there was a good variety. There was no two liveries the same. I think throughout the whole day we ran Group C, NSR F1, and modern GT, which is basically potted GT3 cars. So.
And Jim, I saw it in your video, and I noticed you didn't mention or comment on it. What's it like running on copper with the rubber tires? Is it different to the wood?
I don't notice much difference on it. I in that squeeze section, hardly ever do you see it off in that squeeze section. You can throw the car in there really hard, and I think that the copper has a little bit less traction maybe, and it's allowing the guide to plant, and so there's very rarely an off in the squeeze section. And it's so slow, you're not carrying any speed there anyway. So I don't know really a perfect answer for that, but it doesn't affect the track. Tires come off.
That was a pretty good answer.
Tires come off with a little orange sheen on the bottom of them because it's running over the copper in that squeeze section.
Well, you see, when we race digital endurance races, the common on a 4-lane layout, the common lanes that people prefer to drive are usually the central two because they haven't got any of the tight turns. And as the endurance races progress, you do tend to find that it gets more and more difficult to pick up good power from the rails as they get more and more, I'm going to call it rubber deposits from the tires onto the rails. And I just wondered whether or not there was ever a build-up on those copper strips.
I've never really noticed it physically, but I'm sure that because the copper is relatively flat, a flat surface, I would guess the copper's rubbering in just like the track does a little bit.
Well, so what you're saying, Wayne, is that eventually you could get some power drop off because of the rubber on the on the strips.
It does happen, doesn't it? Disco racers, back me up here. Am I wrong? They're all got their mutes.
There's Alan. There's Alan.
No, you're not wrong, Wayne, but North
also happens from the stuff that the guys put on the braid and oil. And
North Staffs and Wolverhampton both run copper tape. Yeah, as Chris said, you've got a mixture of grease, oil, brake conditioners, whatever people put in their motors, on their tires, on their guides, all gets blended into the track.
John's frozen.
Yeah, we've lost John.
Unless that's a severe case of narcolepsy.
North South, both run copper tape.
He's back. Yeah, we do get to a condition where sometimes it's beneficial to actually get out of the central 2 lanes and start running lane 1 or lane 4, because at least the power will be clean throughout the complexes that get rubbered. It might be specific to the type of control tire that's used in the event, but it does happen, and it's quite perturbing when you pick the car up after having not driven it for 4 hours, 6 hours, something like that. And it's not the same car, entirely not the same car. It's like you can't even remember. It's like a car that you don't even recall. It's gone away.
Well, now that you mention enduros, we do run the Scale Electrics GT3 cars on that track, and we turn the lights out and use the lights in the cars. So it can be a real challenge going through that S bend without lights.
Depends on how dark it gets.
Hold on, Jim. The only lights on the track. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Wayne.
It becomes a challenge of muscle memory and knowing how your rhythm was before it went dark.
We turn off the garage lights, so it's not totally dark, but So it just
Are there any lights on the layout, Jim, that can help you?
There are some lights on the layout, but not too many. So it's the headlights in the cars. You know, they're not illuminating the track, so to speak, like you would be in driving a car, but you can see where your car is with the headlights on the track.
Wow, that's a challenge.
How do you differentiate the cars then?
I'm sorry?
How do you differentiate which cars? Because it's really difficult to find out, unless you have some kind of marking at night.
Well, there's enough light where you can see the car.
Oh, okay.
So you can see your car, but it does help to have the headlights in the car, so it's easier to see where the car is getting into the corner. So, but it's not that dark. It's like if you went out during the day and you've got light leaks coming through your garage or maybe one side window, so you turn the lights off. It's very dim, but not dark.
I drove last year about 3 hours in the night for the first time. And I thought it should be very difficult, but it wasn't. The brain does something with you. You're getting sharper or in your visibility. I don't know what it is, but you know which track you drive, and you follow your lights. It was not as difficult as I thought it was.
Yeah, the hardest I've ever done in slot cars was, I mentioned the Cat Spa ring. It's about 170 feet HO track, and we run a 24-hour race there. And we do turn the lights off, so it's not pitch black, but it's pretty dark. And you have the headlights in the cars, and driving for an hour from 3 in the morning till 4 in the morning was the hardest thing I ever did in a slot car.
Well, especially in HO, because the light they're so tiny.
They're so tiny, yeah. But the track is big enough. We're talking about HO cars where the laps are 13 seconds long. This is a huge track.
13 seconds long on an HO track? Holy cow.
Next week, I'll bring in just a couple quick pictures. If you go on YouTube or you just Google Cat Spa ring, it's got about a 25-foot straightaway, which is massive for HO. And with a fast non-magnet car, it's about a 13-second lap.
And then there's the 233-foot HO Le Mans race in Derby in the sports hall.
Yep.
Which is the one I've done, and that goes dark too.
I would love to do that one.
We don't have LEDs in the cars, but it doesn't go completely black. It doesn't go out like
specially made cars that had LED headlights in them.
Wow,
that must be quite a challenge.
Especially made wiring harness for LEDs.
Yeah,
you can get those little bitty LEDs. I think Viper Products actually has a kit that you can buy and wire it into your car. That's it for me.
But Michael, you do have a point. There are people that do the Disca 24-hour races, and one of the rules is that you must have your lights illuminated throughout the 24-hour. But there are lots of cars, 16, 14 cars running around with headlights and tail lights that are white and red. Or in other categories, in one of the categories, your headlights have to be yellow. But that doesn't necessarily mean that of the 4 cars that are all going down the straight for around 4.5 seconds, you can always tell which one is yours. So some teams do actually install an identification LED. They usually put one in the interior around the cockpit steering wheel kind of area so they can see it through the windscreen. And some cars, sometimes they'll fit a green one because their cars are green, or a purple one because there's a lot of that in their body shell.
We've done that for the Michigan 24-hour as well at times.
Yeah,
put an extra LED in either on the top of the roof or on the hood or somewhere like that. Yeah, so it helps you to identify the car.
And in the case of the car,
my favorite way of doing that, Z Machine do a light set that has braking flash, so exhaust flash. So they've got these bright white, yellow LEDs that you can put in the side of the car where the exhausts are. And when you hit the brakes, the brake light comes on, so your rear lights intensify and the exhaust flash kicks as a proper kind of burn. And, when you need to see the car, like at the end of the main straight, you can see that car. But even with all of that stuff, sometimes the car goes off the track and you've gone through a great big bunch of people, like 5 or 6 cars, you can't see your car. That happened to me once at Le Mans.
It does happen.
The hardest thing about night racing is corner marshaling. And so like with the HO cars, they're not big enough really to put a capacitor in there so the light stays on even if the car is off the track. So you've got the quarter marshals carry the little miniature flashlights to find the cars if it comes off. You know, like he was saying with the sets where they have the flashing brake lights and the flashing, you know, those have a capacitor in them. So they store energy, car comes off, headlights stay on for 5 or 6 seconds.
A lot longer. Yeah,
Or
15, 20, yeah, a lot longer.
Yeah. So, but you can find the car if it comes off the track. It just doesn't immediately turn the lights off if the car leaves the track like the HO cars do.
That'd be like looking for a contact lens, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it can be challenging. But
and then you've got to put it back in the correct lane, John. If you're analog racing, you can't.
Good point. Yeah, you got to. Oh, geez, you put it in the wrong lane and it takes off into the wall or something. Yeah.
In some of those light kits, when the car comes off, actually all four lights, headlights and tail lights, start flashing, so that you know that the car's off when it sees a loss of power.
I haven't seen that one. That's a great feature.
That's in the same light kit that Alan just mentioned.
I ran,
which here is known as Z machines, not Z machines.
Yeah.
Sorry, Courtney, you were going to say something?
Oh, we did a big enduro back in the 80s. And I ended up putting just a little watch battery and the little holder in the car. And, you know, I faced it forward so when it hit the wall, it wouldn't come out. My light stayed on the whole time. I think it was a 3-hour enduro. Killed them. Absolutely killed them.
Brilliant.
So the lights being on gave you that much of an advantage.
Yeah, and we did it with WOMPs, so it was even better. Yeah.
Well, I've seen this with real cars too at Daytona, that sometimes they light up, you know, the number panel or the meatball. So if it's a white meatball, then the black lettering, and you can see it glowing as the car goes around the track. That would be kind of an interesting thing to do with a slot car in a night race.
There's actually a discussion on Slot Forum right now where a guy's gone and got a 7-segment LED display and he's mounted it in the top corner of the windscreen of a GT car, and he's managed to get it to illuminate his car number.
That'd be great, yeah.
But there's also there are technologies that are accessible through data packets and one thing and another, that there is the potential for in the future the race position to be displayed on the car, or even a driver identificator.
I saw that and I thought that's a really great idea if you're up close or you're taking pictures on the start line or something like that.
No, I agree with you, Alan.
If you're up there in the rostrum, or
Yeah.
even if you're a marshal, none of that stuff is going to be visible or useful.
Well, it's
so I
okay
don't
when
really
one
like-
car's got the number in it, but when 16 are all running a number, it is going to be difficult to know. And what's the relevance of it anyway? Yeah. It's a bit of a fantasy, but it's nice.
But
The
realism,
limit-
realism not so much
technology,
as
I'd like to see.
beneficial.
The limit of that technology I'd like to see in something like Disco Le Mans is that the first place car gets a green LED, second gets an amber, third gets a red, and everybody else has to have a black cockpit. No, you know, and those LEDs can be triggered by the Oxygen software, so
Yeah.
that you know when the leader's coming up because you see that green light. That you
Yeah.
know and that would be useful. But all of these 7-segment displays and things, I really don't know if it's going to be useful. It's pretty and it's a technological challenge. but I don't
Perhaps you'd
think
need
it'll be
perhaps you'd need 3 different color schemes so that you can identify. You've got 3 class leaders, haven't you? So you've got theoretically 3 greens, 3 ambers.
You'd need 3 displays. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you'd need 3 LEDs in each car, and having 3 times 7-segment displays, that's just not sensible. So it's a lovely scale thing to have a 7-segment display, but it's not a useful thing in Oxygen racing at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only there's the 3 lights behind the front wheels on the full size cars at Le Mans. I would have thought that would have been a more accessible technology that's just dead easy for everyone to do. but it really
Yeah.
makes the car complicated by the time you're trying to wire it again. And you'd have to build a light kit that can carry it and operate it properly.
But I guess you also have to be careful that you don't have these things that look like, Christmas trees traveling on a track like they're possessed.
Well, that is the danger with all the LEDs that that a car's capable of carrying. They can look ridiculous.
Jeez, yeah. And then to keep track of it all.
Well, that's the big thing. You're assuming all the drivers will be able to interpret this series of 1, 2, 3 lights as they're coming up behind you and going, is this guy lapping me? Am I lapping him? Whoops, there was the corner. I missed the corner. See you later. I'm off.
Well, the truth there is that it's always the responsibility of the car that's in front to take care. Leading.
Oh, now Wayne's a narcoleptic.
Go to space.
We missed that, Wayne. You were a narcoleptic there for a minute.
Okay, so it's always the driver that's responsible for taking care of the overtake. So if you're in the lead, not necessarily in the lead, but if you're the front car, you can just stay in your lane.
Right.
And it's always the change lanes to do the overtake.
Cool. Right. Wow. But yeah, it would just be a massive blur of color all over the place. Jeez. Oh wow, that's wild. So any other club activities that we can talk about or show?
Well, I've got something.
Yeah.
For the Disca guys that are here, is there a inexpensive Android device that I can use to download the firmware into my cars? I'm having really a lot of trouble with a Galaxy Tab E that I've got downloading the firmware into the car to get it to move into the slotted C-type chips. Any ideas there?
The really cheap one is going to be the one that your wife owns.
Yeah, well, she's got iOS and so do I. So, at this point, unless I can find somebody that's got an Android that is willing to let me download the software and try it for a while, I'm looking for a cheap device, because what happened is the Galaxy Tab E that I have obsoleted the slotted app, so I can't even get it to go anymore. So now I'm stuck with trying to download it, and it's really been quite a odyssey in that regard. And I've gotten the cars to move, finally got the cars to move. One of them worked fine and drove fine, but wouldn't change lanes. The other one changed lanes fine, but wouldn't accelerate. It had no power whatsoever. And I couldn't change anything to make it work. So
don't you do it with the bootloader?
The answer is to get one of these.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the
overheard someone
bootloader.
say
I haven't done it yet.
Get one of these, load it up. It's an absolute pain to get the software to load. I mean, you'll need to talk to Greg about it. You'll need to talk to someone like me about it. The instructions are just very slotted. If you follow the instructions, it won't work. But this will upload to all the different types of chips. And this is how I do it, and this is what I use. I've not tried the Android app at all yet. I'd recommend you get bootloader, get it loaded.
Okay. Well, I've got the bootloader because I'm thinking about going to Oxygen. The problem is I want to get them to switch over to SSD so I can run it on my current track. So I don't know if it would work for that.
We are followed with that problem because I have on the club they have iOS, and that's difficult sometimes. That's correct. When you have Android, you have never a problem, or almost never a problem, because with Slotted, you have always a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that it seems to be, and I'm sure it's as a result of the Apple people being very proprietary about their software and stuff. But even so, the app should be able to work in some way. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if anybody had any ideas of an inexpensive device whether it's a phone or whatever.
Did
that
you
I
try
could do.
the Nordic app?
Yeah, I tried both the Nordic app on both the iOS and on the Android. I've got the software, the earlier software, the 1.4 software is loaded on my Galaxy Tab E. So, but I can't update it because it obsoleted.
Oh.
Which is interesting. I don't know if it's on any other devices, but the minute I put the latest update into the Android, I couldn't even find it on the app on the Google Play Store. It wouldn't even, and I thought, what the hell happened to it? But apparently what's happened is that it obsoleted it and it won't update on that device.
And is that the same with the Nordic app?
The Nordic app, I can do that, but I haven't been successful yet. I haven't been able to load it. So
I found it quite simple with the Nordic app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing something wrong or something screwed up somewhere along the line that I'm close enough to Greg that I'm probably going to take a trip over there in one of these days to do that. But I've got some health issues that I got to take care of. And in the meantime, it really kind of stops me from traveling very much. So.
Because when you use the Nordic app, he sees also your O2 chip, and he will update it, and yeah, then you have to go to the bootloader because that doesn't do the Nordic app to change your SSD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you have to do 2 devices.
Yeah, I can upload the chips to the app with no problem.
Oh, okay.
They're both of the chips that I've got that I use are uploaded onto the slotted app. However, I can't get the SSD software into the chip, the car chip. And I also have my STP3 loaded up into the slotted on the iOS. I don't get it, but
yeah. Now then you have to use the bootloader. That's the most easiest part. But there is a new bootloader version also. So watch that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Wow, it's a pity Greg would probably be able to solve that for you, Michael.
Yeah, well, if I can get over there, it should be no problem. But I've been trying to do it from here, and it's been frustrating. So, because eventually I think I want to go to the oxygen setup because I think, truthfully, when Polycar gets their lane changers going, that oxygen is going to be the way to go. And since they don't support RCS64 anymore for the SSD, which is the scale extra, and since the Polycar track is pretty decent anyway as far as traction goes, I think I might end up going to that. So we'll see. It's in the future. But,
cool.
But I'm trying to get a little familiarized with it before I start doing it, jumping in with both feet and see how bad it is to do that. Because I know slotted can get a little complicated.
Okay.
The latest version of bootloader is V3.
Okay.
Victor 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But you have to use the dongle.
Yeah.
Do you have a dongle?
I do have the dongle.
Okay. Did you already install that?
No, I did not yet.
Oh, then you have another problem.
Okay.
It isn't easy. But it's all on the slotted page.
Yeah. If you can get through it.
Yeah, sure. First stand on 1 foot, then stand on your head, then wave with your right hand.
And press
Something
all
like
5 buttons at once.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Most important about the dongle, this is the thing you must not do, is do not stick that dongle in your computer and your computer recognizes the device and says, oh, I can find a driver for that. And you go, yeah, okay, do that. Do not do that. That's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. So make sure that all the drivers and everything are there before supplied by Slotted, get that loaded. Don't stick it in and have Windows recognize the device and automatically load drivers.
Oh, thanks for that info.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Oh, okay. No, it doesn't screw up the dongle. It's just that it just won't load properly, right?
Well, it means you have to erase it and start over, probably.
It doesn't screw up the dongle. No, it screws up your day or your week. Depending on...
I was quite
And
frustrated
I'll ask
recently.
you, Alan, how do you know that?
Yeah, I was talking. In the end, I needed Greg's help, to get over what it was and how it works. There are pieces of software that you have to install. Chrono, you have to load Chrono. Whether you want to use Chrono or not, you have to load it. And that's the software that runs the track. You don't think you're going to need that just to update some software on chips. You have to load it. If you don't load Chrono, you will not get the boot dongle. Don't stick the dongle in and have it recognized and update automatically. That will mess up everything. Once you start to go down that path, extricating yourself out of that mess is difficult. So basically pay Greg some money to visit you, and he'll do it for you. Is what I'd recommend.
I got
Yeah,
quite
we could do
frustrated
that. Maybe we
recently.
could do some racing too. That would be kind of fun. Well, either that or I'll just call Greg up and say, have you got a free day and come over and just deal with it and do everything at once, and that way I can probably get it going.
Sorry, Wayne, you were going to say something?
Well, I recently got my hands on an SCP2 and a chip, and wanted to get the two to work together because they'd never had done, and didn't realize it wasn't even going to be possible until there was a dongle in the room. I hadn't been given the dongle. So I didn't do it. I ended up going to the race meeting and turning it over to people who knew better. Sort that out, please.
Yeah.
Couldn't test the car. Couldn't drive it.
Yeah, for those people who still insist that these things are toys that we race around, if somebody just did everything you needed to make an oxygen set work, the track, the cars, the chips, the controllers, the power supplies, just dump them in under your Christmas tree. Or, on Christmas Day, that would ruin your Christmas. Definitely. There is no chance you would get it going. No chance at all.
Well, there's a really good question. I mean, how do you make the digital side of the hobby easier and more user-friendly?
Have the rest of the world stop updating stuff. Shoot all the IT guys now, and so it stays all the same.
It's make it proprietary and put it in the box, I suspect. I mean, Carrera do it and Scalextric do it, and those systems seem to come out of the box function. It's the aftermarket nature of the oxygen system, I think, and the fact that it's got such a extended capability compared to Carrera and SSD.
It's a great difference. The one are digital through the braid, and oxygen goes to the space. So it's an RC signal, and that's much more difficult than through the braid.
Yeah, I mean, it's not helped by the terminology. I mean, Slotted used terminology like they call it pairing when you put a car paired to a controller. It's not pairing them at all. It's not like putting a ring on each other's finger. They're not pairing. All you're doing is ensuring that two devices are on the same track or frequency. So it's not really pairing.
And the nomenclature, Alan, comes from radio control car racing. It is the same nomenclature. Pairing a device with a transmitter means that only that transmitter will operate that device.
But that is not what it is. That is not what oxygen is. And I know that because I've had a test car on the side of the track on my rolling road running on the same frequency so that I can spot Graham was using a certain car. I was spotting his braking points because I have a car on my desk, which is he's controlling at the same time. They are not paired.
No, they're bound. It's binding. Is a better word.
I'm not even sure it's binding because you can just throw your controller off to the side, and so long as you can pick up another controller that's on the same frequency and track, you can just take over straight away. It's a very loose idea, and I think a lot of the terminology is very misleading, and that doesn't help.
It works a lot more like a frequency crystal used to work in RC, when any transmitter on that frequency would control that car. And whereas in 2.4 gigs RC nowadays, they are bound. The one unit will only work with the other unit. It's like Bluetooth pairing in that respect. They are more bound. You can have 100 radios on, and they're all using the same frequency bands, but only that one will operate that car. Whereas what you're describing is much more like crystals used to be.
Well, that's how oxygen works, and I suspect that any 2.4 gigahertz system works that way. You know, you think that you're pairing them, and it's an automatic system, but they're not really pairing, just making sure that both devices are on the same frequency.
Very intriguing, though, Alan, that you were using a car on a power track as a telemetry system to watch.
Yeah.
So you must have had the car in one hand, and you were one eye on the car and the other eye on the track to know where the car was in the lap at the time.
Pretty much, yeah. And I've got ideas to be able to feed that into a system where I can produce curves and track the braking. Because you know, some of the guys are better drivers.
You need a roll of paper and 2 seismograph fingers drawing graphs.
A laptop and a graph, yeah, so that we can spot lap after lap who's hitting their braking points and who's not. And all of that's possible if you've got time. I mean, I've got ideas, but and I've got time. I have the inclination to work that, but that is perfectly possible to have a second oxygen chip built into a little device that you've got on your pit desk, and you can feed in everything that's going from the hand controller to the car. Feed into this second chip, and you can track it, all of it, lap after lap. No doubt about it.
May I suggest that you don't bother, Alan, because that's actually been done in RC car racing. And let me tell you, the results are non-comparable because the setup on the car is just as important. Everyone's different because every car is different.
Yeah, but I don't care about anybody else's car. I'm just interested in my team car, right?
But Alan, you'd use that telemetry, I guess, for your own education as far as how to drive the car on a particular track, right?
Yeah, that would be the idea, that if I could spot, you know, one of these guys that's a really good driver, like one of our guys, Graham, is exceptional. And he can hit the braking points time after time after time. So if I can spot exactly where he's braking, not just visually, but by seeing it on a graph, then I could start to mimic what he's doing. So you start to head towards a Formula One kind of thing where you can look at the other drivers, braking points, acceleration points, how hard they're hitting the throttle. All of that should be possible. Should be able to track all of that and then mimic that. So there you go. How to take a hobby and ruin it, huh?
How competitive are you, Alan?
Track time would be more beneficial, Alan, to your time.
Yeah, I would agree. Track time's more beneficial, just in the time. The thing about being competitive is one of the guys at Molesey once told me, you know, if you do this for 2 years, that's as good as you're ever going to get. You won't get any better after 2 years. What he realized is that he'd been doing it from the age of about 12, and by 14 he was really good. Whereas I picked it up when I was 50, and I think the learning curve is slower, but there's still lots and lots of things I can do to improve things, and I keep trying to improve.
As in a few less alcoholic libations the night before.
No, and we're not going to give that up. Forget that.
The way you described it, I thought that was one of the improvements.
No.
Well, I stood next to him at the last endurance race, and for the first 20 minutes of the race, while I could still stand, it was interesting to look across at him from time to time because he had that permanent bead of sweat just running down his temple, and he had that grey pallor. I didn't realise about the alcohol the night before at the time, so it just looked like Alan was really, really stressing.
It wasn't a bead of sweat. That was because I was on first after a night on the lash. And,
it was entertaining.
I was sweating so hard it was getting in my eyes. And it's like, what do you do? Because I've got a controller in my hand that I need 2 hands with, and I've got my driving glasses on. It's like, it was an impossible situation. But there you go. That's the price of being team lead and driving first out. So the other 2 suffered as well. So I got my chance to have a laugh at them as they were laughing at me. So it's all good.
But you got the result, right?
They did.
That reminds.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. What?
You were laughing at me last time because I wrote in Sharpie, right?
Yeah, hang on. Let me just pin this because we got to see it close up now. Let's see. Oh, nice.
I got
hang on, I can't see it.
Logo on there.
Can't
That's,
see it.
that's much better.
Yeah, and you're asking me if I wrote on it because I'd forgotten which race it was. It's not that I've forgotten which race it was. There will come a time in the future where I will look at these trophies and I will not know what they were for. You know, at the point when I probably don't even remember what a slot car is. So it's nice to have something on there to remind me.
Hopefully it won't come that soon.
By the way, has anybody done anything with those spoke tubes I mentioned a month ago for body posts? Did anybody?
No, not yet.
Henri, you were asking about those, right?
I used at that time. I used foam and plastic in the body. I raced with the car and it was wonderful. So, but I for the next time I'm going to use that for the wheels for children. How do you call spokes? Yeah. So
spoke protector.
I'm looking at it, and for the next build, I'm going to use that for sure. Thanks.
Let me know how you go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
And Michael, don't let it down because oxygen is difficult, but when it works wonderful.
Oh, I'm not going to give up.
No.
Because, you know, with the RCS guys working on the software, I really like the RCS 64 software, and I want to have that ability to be able to do that. So I can see that I'll be able to, if I just persevere with oxygen, I'll be able to get it.
Yeah, I'm driving at the moment with O2 from RCR 46, and the O2 version is for oxygen.
Yeah.
And it isn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
They're still in progress. I spoke with one of the guys, Marshall, last week, and they are going to do the next week some development again. But there are R46. Yeah, you have a lot of more choices than in O2. So it's a beginning process. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we hope we go through the run from that time.
Now, is the operating system that much of a barrier, guys, like between Apple and Android?
Are we talking about O2 or RMS software?
Yeah.
No, the RMS software is something different. RCS 64 is for Scalextrics. It talks to the main computer on the lane. We call it the CU in Carrera talking. We call it the CU. And they're talking through the rate. So to program to a CU is much more easier than to program to the dongle, because the information from the car goes to the dongle. At this moment, the dongle is not fast enough to get a lot of information. So to do something with it.
Okay, no, and as a sort of somebody who doesn't really do any sort of digital, I thought I'd ask because I had no idea.
Yeah. That's the inside information I got from Marshall at the moment. Slotters are looking at to upgrade the dongle to upgrade to in speed, so then you can drive with weather conditions, tire condition, etc., etc. Because all the information goes first through the air in the dongle.
Can you do fuel simulation in oxygen yet?
Yeah, sure, of course. At this moment I drive PC lap counter.
Yeah.
And that's the one I prefer at this moment. And because it hasn't less errors than OC2 at the moment. Yeah. PC lap counter is wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. And
well, I've actually got an earlier version of PC lap counter that I paid for, but could never get to work.
Okay.
And was never able to contact them to get any response. So I've got, you know, the actual disc, but nothing on it that I can use.
Yeah. I didn't buy it myself. A friend of mine gave me a code, and I used that one, and yeah, it works. at this moment, because but the fuel simulation is wonderful, and we all started with the fuel simulation, and then we go on.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with RCS 64 right now, and with the two guys that I'm racing with, experimenting that. It's been challenging for them because they race analog 1/24th cars and not this, but they have actually had their driving ability improve by racing with this stuff and having more to think about. So it was noted in there. They just got back to racing 1/24th again, and a couple of the guys commented that their driving has gotten better as a result of what they were doing here. So that's a positive.
I would think so, because it's more playing chess.
Right.
Yeah, you have to think in the future, and you have to plan. You have to use strategic plan. So it makes you a completer driver.
Plus, you have to be more adaptable because your fuel simulation changes every couple laps. So your power changes.
And that's the problem with our age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All the guys are about between the 50 and the 60 years old is driving over here. So when you're 16, yeah, you're a bit quicker to adapt.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, which reminds me, we're about out of time here, folks. However, Greg has just joined us. He just joined via at least his audio. Are you there, Greg? I guess not.
No.
Anyway, he did show
Maybe
up.
he's muted, John.
No, he's no. I didn't mute him. I tried not to. That's okay. Well, he did actually manage to make it to the last bit, and we're just about out of time, folks.
Cool.
Well, that was great. Well, thanks to everybody who showed up. Again, I guess if you haven't participated yet, please do. And we appreciate everybody who participates and watches. So again, from all of us to all of you, thank you so very much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for co-hosting.
Thank you. Yep.